Good evening, everyone. We're glad you stopped by, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Average Joes. With your hosts, from Lake Havasu, Arizona, Tony P. And from Long Beach, California, Joe Kelly. We're glad you stopped by. Hope we get to entertain you a little bit and maybe give you something to think about. So without further ado, Two Average Joes. That's it, brother.
Throw something at me. Teach me something.
Okay, I've got one thing. This is interesting restaurant kind of stuff here. McDonald's.
Oh, nice.
McDonald's once sold a Hawaiian burger. It was called the Hula Burger, which came onto the scene in the early 60s. Consisted of a slice of pineapple and cheese only. It was created by Ray Kroc to offer as an alternative to Catholics for not eating meat. But what happened was it wasn't popular enough, and the filet of fish went crazy. You know,
pineapple and a piece of cheese.
That's it. I mean, yeah, dude, it's like that
Slip
sounds.
a tomato in there.
Well, that's what we did in the restaurant business. That's all that was in the refrigerator.
Well,
you know?
yeah, well,
we're having pineapple sandwiches tonight. So
if the lid wasn't on tight in the walk-in, you were having a snack.
Or if it wasn't untied enough for too long, you had some alcohol. So it just fermented long enough.
Right.
You were high. So
That is true. That is true. You mentioned McDonald's. They are the only restaurant that is located in every continent on Earth.
Wow, such a
I would
brilliant.
have figured every country. There must be some place. Some countries probably don't allow it. Who knows? I wonder if they're in India.
I think it's kind of a given. You and I have seen the movie, The Founder. It's like you watch something like that, and you understand exactly how that model works. I mean, Outback did the same kind of. I mean, Black Angus probably.
Well, the Caesar salad. Now I know you already know this, but I'm going to go on a limb and say probably minimal 50% of the people don't. That Caesar salad was not from Italy.
Nope.
Though they take a great deal of credit for it. I don't think you could go into an Italian restaurant and they don't have Caesar salad, right? Probably more than a Mexican restaurant, but that's where it's from.
Exactly.
Tijuana, Caesar Cardini. And, they sell his dressing in the supermarket.
Nice. Didn't know that.
So when I'm too lazy to make it myself, that's my go-to. And I didn't know that. Now, I knew the salad was invented in Mexico.
Right.
I did not know that was the dude. So they sell that dressing.
Interesting.
It's fantastic.
Wow.
But I like to make my own.
Well, there's a restaurant up here, and it's called the Fish Company, and they do some of the best food around, but they have a Caesar salad. They make it from scratch. That's what Outback did, the same thing. Fresh anchovies and blend that all together.
At the table.
Yeah, at the table. So it's like wonderful. I
didn't know Outback did that.
No, the Outback didn't do it at the table. Outback made it fresh. Right. So that's, I mean, once you have it like that, it's hard to have it the other way. I don't even like little, sardines by themselves or anchovies. I don't like any of that stuff by itself. But man, it just gives that bite.
I'll have one. I'll take that little kick of salt. But I have made them table side. I worked at the Marriott, a front waiter, and then a captain.
Nice.
And you ground the anchovy into the bowl, the garlic, the egg yolk, right? Everything was done right there.
Nice.
Not just that, steak Diane, Cherry's Jubilee, Foster's Flambe, steak Diane, a hot spinach salad. The hot spinach salad was even better than the Caesar salad. We made that table side in a pan, right? Bacon and the onions, the mustard, the vinegar, and all. Poured it right over, tossed it.
Good stuff.
That was Rancho Mirage, the Marriott, Rancho Las Palmas.
Las Palmas, nice.
The Cabrillo room.
Very hot. That's right down the street from where you opened. Well, that's right down the street from where you opened your place.
Yeah. Pretty much almost like across the street or so.
The interesting thing about that, like Las Palmas Marriott, is that it's built in some ravines, but those are washes that it's built in. So the golf course is through the wash. So there are times that it's just a canal through that place. And I mean, you can't even get, if you live in Desert Hot Springs, you weren't going to work, and that's where all the food servers lived, desperate Hot Springs. They couldn't get across there.
You also weren't going to work because you were up on crack all night.
Yeah, no kidding. It's the crack capital of the world.
The weather just synced the deal.
You got to wear a mask just to go into that part of town, man.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question there, my friend.
Yes, please do.
Should the government have the right to control information available to the public?
Well, see, they do. And that's, I mean, they are doing it anyway. And it's a tough one. I mean, you look at extremes, like we were just talking about this the other day about, asteroids hitting the Earth. I mean, the fact is, if there was an asteroid coming straight here, they wouldn't tell us. Only the rich people would be gone. It's like, what happened? They went to their bunkers, but the rest of us,
it'd be like a reverse rapture.
Exactly.
All the rich people disappeared, but it wasn't for a good reason.
So it's That's a tough one, me. What do you think? What say
Yeah.
you?
Well, I was just thinking while you were answering, I'm reading the question. I'm like, well, those are pretty broad parameters. Like there are no parameters in the question. So it's like, obviously, when it comes to military and stuff like that, there's certain things where just, you just can't fucking chat it up, right?
Right.
There has to be, and like you said, some type of disaster like that would only make the situation 1,000 times worse.
Right. All social construct would fall apart and it would just be anarchy.
It would
Yeah.
be, it'd be horrible. You'd be sitting there going, I wish I would have just got hit by the fucking asteroid,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Instead of going through this, either way, you're a goner. What do you
There's
gain?
it's the thing that sucks is that at what point do you say, okay, like the idea of extraterrestrial life or the idea of, I mean, make
Right.
everything completely transparent. That way there's no doubt. I mean, and honestly, do I believe in extraterrestrials? Yeah. Do I believe that all extraterrestrials like UFO sightings are from aliens? No, I think part of them are from us re-engineering what we found and trying to fly it around. That's why it's erratic because we can't figure out how to fly the damn thing. So I think that has a lot
Right.
to do with it. So, but as far as the average person, I mean, walks down the street and they say to themselves, left, right, left, right, left, right, when they walk down the street. So I don't think that information should be given to everybody because I don't think everybody can handle it. Though, I mean, there's people, most people believe what they read on .com and it's got to be fact because I saw it in writing. It's like, I can write in whatever I want and you can say, well, I saw it on the internet, it must be real. So information can be pretty dangerous in the hands of stupid people. It's like having a 2-year-old have a
Well,
loaded pistol.
and if you think about the difference, like if you'd asked this question, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, before the abundance of information is available to, in fact, like you said, we went completely off the edge. We went to so much information to now you don't even know what's true because
Right.
now there's just, I tell people that all the time. You want to look something up on the internet, whether you're for it or against it, you're going to find a list of shit that agrees with you.
Right. Exactly.
It's just the way it
Exactly.
is. So if you would have asked this question a while back, but now there are certain things they almost have to share information on because now there's so much media, and even on a personal level, just people with their phones. I don't mean media. I don't trust those motherfuckers.
Right.
But people walking around with their phones, there's so much stuff that it's getting that they can't even like they have to answer up to it, right? So I think now we probably know more than we ever used to. I still don't think we know it all. And
No.
I think there is a degree of stuff that we shouldn't.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there.
That's our two average Joe, 2 cents.
Okay, here's an interesting question. What does it mean to you to be human?
I think to me to be human, the first thing and the thing that piggybacks right off it that comes to mind is one human in a human nature. Try to be a human and try to just try to be a better person and try to treat people better. And sometimes I fail at that probably on a daily basis, but I think it's important. But I'm not on the other edge. I'm not like walking around with a chainsaw. So that, and then I think just I think about it all the time, just the uniqueness of the human body, the intricacy, how one tiny area can change the whole thing. And it's hard to look at that and be like, there's no way that is just, if you just evolved and developed, you wouldn't need so many complex things. Am I wrong?
I agree. Yeah.
And if there are aliens, then that's what I'd like to know. What do they have inside? Do they have organs? Is this something that is transferred along timelines? Because in some cases they say people that believe in aliens believe that they're actually us from the future because we're in this matrix, right? And in that case, we would see what we're going to become if that's not even just after a whole nother reset.
Well, it's interesting. There's something called light spectroscopy. And what that means is they kind of take the light that's coming in from, say, a star, and it separates into the prism of what exactly shades of light are being transmitted from that or emitted from that. And they've found that every element on our Earth can be found in the stars. And so this one fact I put down and say we are all stars, so to speak, because technically we're all made of star dust. That it's pretty cool. But the research shows that humans and the galaxies share 97% of the same kind of atoms. So for us to think that those atoms aren't shared with some other beings is pretty arrogant in itself, so.
Well, right, because you can't, like in my case, you can't look at the human body and go, wow, it's just beyond mind-blowing miracle how that all comes together and works. Well, you say the same thing about the solar system.
Yeah.
and the Earth and the sun and the orbit, And even though that does change, it changes so slightly. You and I, anybody, we don't even know it's happening, but they do it. It does change. But nonetheless, look at how many things can go wrong with that whole program, right?
Right.
And an asteroid being one of them, that would have to somehow, beyond the immediate damage, have some change on the rotation of the Earth. I would think. I don't know. What say you? You're more scientific than me. That's
Well, I mean, if the moon were to split in half, we would drown because it would destroy the tidal. The gravitational pull between the Earth and the moon would screw up our gravity, and things would go haywire. I mean, it's just some of the things they've speculated would happen. There's the balance that we have where the water finds its own level seems like it's happening, but our galaxy, or even the solar system, is just a small part of the galaxy, which is part of the universe. I mean, things are moving at millions of miles an hour. I mean, it's hard to fathom. I mean, if you have an orange in Central Park, and let's call that our sun, which is technically a star. That's the closest star to us is the sun. 93 million miles away is the sun. If you took this orange-sized sun and want to feel where it is in respect to the nearest star, would be an orange in downtown Chicago. I mean, that's how vast the universe is, and you don't think about it. Go, so much area.
and those are the ones that we see that are just a little speck.
Yeah, that's true. And they're hundreds of times bigger than our sun. And our sun is a red dwarf. It's dying. In about 10 billion years, it will snuff out, and all of us will be dead. But we'll be dead anyway. But anything.
Now, wouldn't it be great if God had, a competitive spirit in him, which I doubt he does. But if he did, and he made like, the equivalent of 10 Earths, and it was a contest, right? See who's going to implode first and third, and so, who makes it to the end. Do you think, take that for a second, do you think if he did make 10 Earths and started everything the same way, the Genesis was the same, from there on, would they all be the same?
Well, here's the thing. I wrote a paper on that very fact, kind of like that
Fuck
fact.
off. No way.
Yeah. And are we in? The question
Nope.
was, are we inherently good or inherently bad? Now, the thing is I thought we're inherently good and become bad. But no, if you have children, and you and I have had 2-year-olds, you have a 2-year-old just walk over to grab something, and he looks over at you because he knows he's not supposed to grab it, and you go, don't you grab that? He looks at you like, fuck you, and grabs it anyway, because we are inherently bad. Yeah. We're inherently bad. So even if God decided, I'm going to do this experiment and do 10 different Garden of Edens around the universe, I believe the same outcome would occur, because we are inherently bad and have a choice to be good.
And you have a point, because some people would immediately argue and go, "Oh, well, they're just curious." No, it's the look back.
If you were sitting there, 2-year-old gives you one of these in their eyes, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah.
If they never turned around and they were like, went up to grab it, you'd just be like, they're just, hey, don't touch that, whatever, right? But it's the look back, right? Am I going to pull this off?
Right.
And that's because they're children. They don't know that really what they should have done is act like they didn't know. You were, like they were just curious.
Right.
But they can't help themselves.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing, there's a saying
they're too honest.
It's like, it's it's easier to walk in darkness because it's vast, but like being a good, righteous, good person is like walking a tightrope. It's hard to do because there's so much crap going on in your life. It's pretty much impossible. That's why
it's impossible.
It's like people go, well, you're a Christian. What are you? You're sinless? No, I sin all the time. I'm just forgiven for my sins. Are you?
I probably sin more than you.
That's right. I just acknowledge it. Yeah.
But that's not the right.
I wanted to add something. It's like when you were I asked you, what does it mean to be human? I was thinking about that when I asked you that. And what's interesting is that human beings are the only animal that can think about their thoughts. Now, that means we can contemplate, which means that we have a choice to be reasonable or rational, to tell rational lies, do things like slap a dog in the ass. I mean, that's a rational action. A reasonable action is like, maybe I'm going to eat this guy for just slapping me on the ass. I think that we have a choice to be reasonable, and because of that, there's a wisdom that creates a collective good for everybody involved. And so I think that being human does mean being good, but it means being wise enough to see the outcome and to go to what is the best for the collective good. That's interesting, but that's the way I look at it. So anywho,
right, I like that. Hey, throw a tidbit out here before I ask you a question.
Please do.
Sea otters hold hands while they sleep so they don't drift away from each other. How romantic is that?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Right.
I've seen
See,
a movie where they did that. They held hands. I
no
thought,
kidding.
yeah, yeah. Just look it up on the internet and just go otter. And they, like one otter was withheld from the other one because it was hurt and he was in sick bay, so to speak. And when they got together, they were swimming together and holding hands while they were swimming. It was very cool.
So I have a point I want to bring up, but it actually leads into a question. So I'm gonna give you the point first just to get it out of the way, but then I have to pick your brain on something that I'm not aware of. A sloth, you know those sloths,
Yeah, three toads.
they can hold their breath longer than a dolphin, which is up to 40 minutes. Okay, now I'm trying to make it sound like that's amazing, but in my mind, I didn't even know like that the dolphin had to surface. Am I just being a moron?
It has to
So do
surface. It's a
all
mammal.
fish have to come up to surface at some point and take a big
No,
breath of air?
whales are mammals, and so are dolphins. They have to breathe air in. The other fish don't. In fact, sharks have to just keep moving because they don't have the ability to have the water flow over their gills. So they always have. They have a sleep. There's one species called the sleeping shark, which is an anomaly, but the rest of them have to constantly move. But yeah, dolphins have to surface, and that's what used to freak me out when we used to surf down at Redondo Beach. Is the first thing in the morning. Sometimes we'd see a fin, and it's like shit, It's like,
Yeah.
but then you see a little blowhole. Okay, that's cool. Dolphins are going to surf with us, and so that's different. But dolphins and whales have to surface. They can hold their breath a long time, but you're saying that a sloth can hold its breath longer than a dolphin.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. Very cool.
So if when the dolphin comes up, is it very brief? Is it like just taking like a big hit of air and going back under? I mean, is it like this, or how long do they have to come up? I mean,
Well, it just depends. I mean, sometimes they cruise. A lot of them, you see a lot of the dolphins cruising on the surface. They're just cruising along. Now,
just gliding, right?
yeah,
With
if
the
things get
right,
ugly, they can, go down for like alligators are the same way. When you see these people hunting alligators for that 1 month in the Louisiana swamps, it's like if
right,
an alligator can go down, it can hold its breath for like 4 or 5 minutes. It can be
right,
down there. So you have to
right.
just wait it out sometimes. But if they feel like there's danger, they'll, go away from you. And that's
Yeah, I
dolphins
was gonna
and
say if they're down there for 4 or 5 minutes, they're not just sitting still. They're getting the hell out of there, right?
Right. Now you're talking about whales and stuff. Let's segue just into this little side note is that orcas, let me see the better to put that. One of the moose's predatory animals that it fights against are orcas. Can you believe that? A moose can actually get it's in the food chain. The orca is greater than the moose. I'm thinking, how is that? Because one's on land, on sea, but they walk along in these streams up near Alaska and stuff. And these
Yeah.
these orcas just kind of swim like brrr, bam, and they get these
And they grab
moose.
a moose.
Yeah, and like some these moose, I watch these shows.
Wow.
They're up to 1,000 pounds. These bull moose. I mean, these people go, we're fed for
What?
the entire year if we get a moose. It's because
Well,
it's,
remind me to not get front row seats at SeaWorld.
dude. I'm telling you. Well, I watch Blackfish sometime. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's very disturbing. See that I'm very much against. When I saw this movie, I stopped going to SeaWorld because it's really bad what they do to these things. And these orcas have killed people. They've drowned people
Right.
in front of audiences and killed them. Their
Right.
trainers because
Right.
it's like you're screwing
Now,
with these
do you have
animals.
to pay extra for that? Like,
It's like a
is it
snuff
more
film.
that day?
Yeah, it's an orca snuff film is what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to be there. So
because people would be like half the people in the crowd would be like, right on.
that was so realistic, man. It's like, yeah, I bet it was.
What they can do with this AI now,
Craziness,
guys, the
craziness.
guy is floating on the top. Anyway,
Now you got a question.
how do you express gratitude or appreciation in your relationships? You express gratitude or
Well,
appreciation.
when I care enough about a person to find out what their interests are and stuff, I know what kind of language they speak. I mean, you can say the love languages, but that can be affect. I mean, they'll tell you in psychology that men have crush on their male teachers, but they start thinking faggy thoughts.
Right.
But no, it's not like that. There's an affection. There's an admiration affection. So whoever I have a relationship with, I want to know what their language is and I want to talk to him in that language. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell this young man. He's like, I just don't, I'm not hitting my wife with some good stuff. I'm like, well, are you giving her the things that she like or the things that you think she'd like? Because it's like, just because you think your acts of service to your wife are grateful, they may not be, because that may not be the thing that tickles her fancy. You got to find out what she likes to do and go in that direction. So I think the way that I show gratitude to people is to know how they would really feel I don't want to say joy, that's almost too faithful sounding, but real happiness. I want them to really be happy because something happens. And I even enjoy it sometimes when it's random, they don't know where it comes from. That gives me the most happiness for someone to feel happy about that. But I like
Right.
with my wife, I just know what makes my wife happy. And so I do those things that I don't even have to tell her. She looks and she's like, "Thank you so much for doing that." Oh, you're welcome. And so it's good to do that. It doesn't take a lot of effort to make someone happy or to figure out somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the way I feel about that.
Yes, it does. Okay, you're in a very unique situation, and a lot of people are in that situation. But for a lot of people, it is difficult. And women, you know, sometimes if you ask them what they're like, oh, I don't care, I don't care. There is an expectation for us to know because we're the man, we're the problem solvers or whatever. So we're supposed to figure that out. It's like where do you want to go for dinner?
God, so we just talked
What do
about
you
that
want
with
for dinner?
somebody
Send us.
else.
But I saw this video. There's this young couple. They do these videos, and it's probably all staged. Who cares? But the point is good. He goes, I figured out how to find out where my wife wants to go to dinner. So they get in the car, right? And instead of asking her, where do you want to go for dinner? Because he knows she's going to say, I don't care. Like I've done that, right? Hey, where are you going to go? I don't care. And like the first three places I list, oh, no, I don't. Well, you don't want to go there. Where do you want to go?
Right.
But what he did is he twisted around. He got in the car and he goes, guess what, honey? I'm taking you to your favorite restaurant. And she's like, oh, and she starts rattling off her favorite restaurant, right? He's like, how'd you know?
That's pretty good. I'll have to say, no, let's see, but I know my wife's favorites,
Isn't
but
isn't that fantastic, right?
that's a good one. Well, the thing is that honestly, people found out, especially pandemic put it into perspective, is people realized how much they don't get along with their spouses because they were stuck in the house with them for 3 months or whatever. And it's like
Right, right, right.
somebody, beat the crap out of each other. Some people left each other. Some people went out and lived in the streets. But it's like you have to. I mean, like your wife has to be your best friend. That's the thing. Like with my wife is my best friend. I enjoy my company with her over anybody's company. I mean, my wife's like, when are you going to take me to another ball game? Who doesn't like a wife that loves baseball? Who can look at somebody and go, Dansby Swanson. She didn't even have to look at his number. She looks at his face. Hey, Dansby plays with the Cubs now? Yeah, he does, honey. I mean, it's great to have a wife like that.
Right.
But some people aren't that fortunate. But the thing that I was trying to tell another young man I was giving advice to, I said, you know what? You had sex too early in the relationship. And what happens is you compromise everything else from that point because she can be such a bitch, but the sex is so good. I mean, so you
Right.
end up screwing yourself in the long run because you didn't really know this person and it messes with you. So you have to take the time to really know somebody before you get involved with them. And, so it's like when the pandemic proved that you just really don't know your spouse that well. And that's the one thing that even my kids tell me. My ex-wife, Dee Dee, she even told Sue, my wife, you are the absolute best person for Kelly. You guys are a perfect match for each other. I mean, this comes from my ex-wife to my present wife. And it's like because
Right.
you just find that right match. I mean, I'm not sure. I've never met Twee, but I'm sure that you guys have a great relationship. I mean, that's like you do nails with her. You ask her, so you have boyfriend? You have boyfriend?
You pick color. You pick color.
The color. Okay,
So,
what?
so do you argue? Have you ever? When was your last argument?
Okay, now let me state something here. I'm a mathematician, so an argument is an exchange of ideas. A fight is ad hominem. So we can go back and forth against with different ideas, but the minute she goes, well, fuck you, then you're an asshole. Boom, the argument's over, it becomes a fight. I mean, so the one thing we don't do that. It's like there are times that, and we
Right.
just talked about recently that we've had serious disagreements about something, and it's just like I'm like, red flag. It's time to go out and smoke a joint and relax a little bit or something. Get away from the scene. And when things calm down, we'll take care of it. But it's like my wife and I are very good about working things through.
Well, and really, what you said it right there, I think is key. I think you require that break, and I hate to talk out of school, but so Kathy, my first wife, mother of my children,
I know her, met
right,
her.
and she had a principle: you didn't go to bed mad. Now, what that meant was, and let me preface it by reminding you of what our schedule was like when we worked in the restaurants, 9 a.m. to midnight, whatever, some 2 noon to 3,
Right,
whatever.
right, right.
And I wouldn't get to bed, I'd get like 2 hours of sleep, like we'd be up to like 3 or 4, and I don't care. And you know how it is, even when you're like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking give in, right? And then you give in, they're like, and they won't accept it, right? You're just giving in, and I'm like, no, 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 I swear, I really give in. You're really right. I really thought about it, and I don't agree with that. It's pointless. It's just badgering. You're just repeating stuff. I believe, and I've seen it be more successful. It's okay to go to bed mad. Take a break. You're not, when you wake up in the morning, you're not, even if you're still pissed, it's like, wait, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
leveled out.
Right.
And and then I usually like to just break the ice by, just trying to do something funny or whatever, you know what I mean? Just to give it a little, just get rid of the tension.
Well, see, with my wife and I, it could be my fault or her fault. I mean, I've been a real jerk sometimes, and she's just
Right.
kind of bitter time, and then
Oh,
eventually, I mean, she just then everything's fine because I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I was an ass and
right.
stuff like
I
that.
don't
But
want to butt in, but I'm going to forget this point, and this is crazy. I just read this the other day. Do you know how when you're talking, like when you're having an argument, right? Or not an argument, a disagreement or with you and your wife, sometimes you're like, how do they even remember it like that? And you know what I mean? You're like, hell, I know what happened. Boom, boom, boom. Did you know this is crazy? And you can look it up. Maybe it was fucking bullshit. But when you recall something via memory, your brain is editing what actually happened. And I thought about that and I'm like, no, that's fucking bullshit. But then I thought about it and I'm like, there's certain people that like when they're lying, they're so convincing and they stick with it so long that they say how, oh, they actually begin to believe it.
they'll
And
pass
so
lie
what it
detector
says is
tests.
your
Yeah.
brain rewrites and edits these memories. And that's why people are never right. When two people were caught, and it could have been something that happened yesterday, right? Or a week ago, a month ago. And that's happened to many times in life. And both people are 100% convinced that their version of what took place is correct. And maybe it's not. Maybe they're both wrong. What say you?
Well, that's a very good point because I mean, even the fact I was talking about history. Well, history is written by the winners anyway, and it's what that one person's perspective is, and then we read that in high school and we expect that to be gospel, but it doesn't always happen that way. So it's very important. That's the one thing that like when I want to have a discussion about something serious, I'll sit down and I'll write down the points that I want to go, so I keeps things orderly and not go off on rails. But and sometimes I have to think about it. I mean, even just my friend and I are reading like the Harry Potter series, and we're on the last book right now. And we go every week, we review the 6 or 7 chapters that we did. And it's like, crap, that was in there? I mean, just something that you read this week, you can forget. And so you have to try to
Right.
recreate it with your memory. So I think,
Now, hold on. Do you guys ever talk and have a completely different take on what you read?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you perceive it you're like, oh no, dude, that's what you thought, type of
yeah.
thing.
Well, then we'll grab Sparks Notes or, like something like that and find out what the summary says on it. But yeah, there's a lot of times that we disagree, and I'm like, dude, I don't think that happened. Yeah, it did, and we'll look it up. Or so it's like, wow, I didn't know that existed. So yeah, it happens all the time. Like this one thing, it's like he walked by the statue, and the statue was his parents and himself as a baby. And when he walked by it, he turned around, and the statue turned into a warrior. And my friend says, "Where was that?" It's like
You're
that
like,
was a
dude,
big
it's when you got
point.
up to get more popcorn and take a leak. You should have put it on pause.
Oh, by the way, just off on a side note, I've been some of my friends, and only one of them is left. It's like I call it a book club. I got tired of all the TV they're watching and the shows. It's like, dude, your mind is melting. Why don't you read a book? And so I bought a copy of Lord of the Flies as the first book of the 50 books to read before you die, and I gave them
Right.
each a little metal bookmark that has etched in there these 50 titles of books, and one of the titles is the entire Harry Potter series. So it's like, but after we watch read these books, we watch the movie, like Moby Dick. Boy, that was a tough read. But but we read that book and then watched the best version of that movie, and Lord of the Flies, we did that. To Kill a Mockingbird with Cary Grant, we watched that. Gregory Peck, excuse me. We watched those kinds of things. So it
So
was
which
cool.
one was the closest to following the book? Because I know they always, they have to change some things. And we've talked about this before on one particular movie, but it
Yeah.
wasn't this one. Out of all of them, like how many Harry Potters were there? How many have you
There's
seen? Like
there's
what? How
there's
many?
8 movies, but
Well,
there's only 7 books. They take the last one's called The Deadly Hollows, and with the book we're reading now, we're about 300 pages into a third way through it. But they
but
made
there's
7
seven
movies.
books that have 7 movies.
There's 7 books that have 8 movies.
Okay,
The
so
last book
forget.
is
So let's count 1 through 6. Just one
okay.
through six. Which one was the closest to the book?
The first one.
They follow the script.
pretty much, and then it went off the rails. It's like you're like, what? I mean, because that's the one thing we haven't liked. It's like, why did you leave that out? That's important information. And it's funny because we're so much, and we're like, we missed something because all of my daughter and his daughters did
Right.
all the books and did all the events and all the plays and all the Legos and stuff, and I just kind of ignored it. And now we as adults are going, this is cool. And so Friday we're taking the train down to Universal City Walk, and then we're going to go to Hogsmeade is what it's called, Harry
Really?
Potter Hogsmeade, and we're going to spend the day playing in there.
Now,
But it's
have you ever dressed up as Harry Potter, like for Halloween or anything? Or
no, that won't happen. That's
do you
not going to
dress up
happen.
for Halloween?
Not
Or
anymore.
have you?
I used to, yeah. When I was younger, I
Right.
did every Halloween. But it's like I give out candy now and say hello to the little kids. That's what I do now. So I'm a senior citizen. Senior citizens don't dress up like idiots anymore. I'm sorry, I just don't. I can't. Just not fun.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that. I wish I was more prepared. I don't want to make a big pause, but I do have a picture of the last time Twee and I dressed up. And we went as old people, walkers. We had the mask, the old clothes and stuff. And I'll have to shoot you. I'll tell you what. I'm going to look it up real quick while I ask you a question. You think of the answer to this.
Well, but real quickly, the last time I dressed up I was Steve from the Jerry Springer show, that big bouncer, because I shaved my head
Oh
and I
yeah.
was big, burly guy, and so I just had a name tag that said Steve. I was Steve, so that's the last time. Okay, shoot me the
And
question.
he ended up having
Yeah, his
his
own
own
show.
show.
Yeah, same kind of theme, shock television.
Okay.
What's funny is that most of the guys I hung out with were waiters or cooks, and they were all in their 20s. So they were all old enough to drink, and I was 17, 18, not enough to drink, but they would take me along anyway and get me into where we're going. But on Halloween, I just used a fake ID, and I used facial hair and went to bought the suit and everything. So I was an old man every time for Halloween because that's something they couldn't penetrate to find out who I was. So yeah, I did that every year. Okay, hit me with a question, my friend.
I got one for you. Is it ethical to experiment on animals for the advancement of scientific knowledge?
No, I don't think it is because I've done that. I mean, an example is that when you get a tetanus shot, it's a tetanic response that you're getting, and they would take a cylinder and smoke it, and it would be going around a circle, and they would take this electrode and run it through. They would cut. We did this. We took a live frog, gave it a spinal block, a epidural, so to speak, and cut its legs off. And so you have this frog, which is still alive, with these legs that when you'd hook it up to these diodes into it, and
Okay,
then you would
I
run
have a question.
electricity,
So,
and it would move in a certain manner. So did I think that was ethical? No, I don't think that was ethical at all.
well, but in regard to the legs, did you batter and deep fry, or did you cook them in a garlic and lemon sauce?
That would have been nice. I would have done that, but I would have killed the frog first before I did that. So but you
God,
have to have a live frog. Now, but they did away with that experiment because PETA thought that it was cruel, and so they replaced it with a
right.
computer program. Now that I've done things that I don't consider that are not experimental, but I've dissected fetal pigs and I've dissected cats before, but that was just for anatomy to find out what was going on inside of them. So I don't consider that
They
cruel.
were already dead.
Yeah, that's different. But no, I don't think that you should take animals and test, stuff on them to see how they react. No, I don't think so. I mean,
Now, what about this? What if, and I don't even know if this would be, an across the board type of thing, but there was an animal that was ill and they knew was going to die. Like a horse, when it would hurt itself, they would just put it down because they
right,
knew it was going to die anyway, or whatever, like
right.
that. So almost like, you and I have the right, we can donate our organs, but we can also do that when we're alive. Like if you were dying and you said, hey, you know what? I want you to take these organs, even though they have to wait till you're dead. Obviously, an animal cannot make that decision on its own that we're aware of, maybe one or two. What about that? What if there was an animal and, like you had a cow and you knew the cow was dying because you'd been a farmer and your family had been farming for 500 years. And you had a cow that you knew was dying, and you called this place and said, hey, you want to come pick up my cow for research? Would that be okay, right?
No, but see, no. Now, one of the words I just learned in Spanish was sentirse, to feel, sentir. So a sentient being is a feeling creature, and I don't think that if you're wife was almost dying. Well, she's going to die anyway. Do you mind if we use her to this experiment? And she's probably going to scream and get hurt, but it's okay because she's going to die anyway. You would say no. I don't think that we have the right to play God, to mess with animals in that way. I really don't. People go, well, it's for the betterment of science. Well, you know what? Maybe we aren't supposed to get better at that. I mean, it's like it took us a long time to figure out, hey, wait a minute. If we wash the wounds and put clean bandages on, there's less amputations that we're doing. I mean, come on. That's why they call it practicing medicine. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try something else. So, no, I don't believe that we should ever. If you look
What
into an
about
animal's eyes, I can't hurt an animal ever. I just can't. It's just,
no. I get all that. I'm on the same boat. I grew up in Michigan. I never even hunted other than fishing, which in its own way is probably cruel. You know, that hook in the gill that looks fairly unpleasant. But let's say you were dying, you know, you were dying of cancer, right? You opened up your stage 4 lung cancer, and you weren't the type of person that wanted to take, like me. I wouldn't take, you know, chemo and all that shit. You know, if I got the news, I'd start getting my shit together. So what if at that point I made the decision like, hey, you know what? Go ahead and operate on me. Check out what you need.
that's okay.
It's not like they're gonna kill you. They're gonna sew you back up to die. Could you do the same to an animal?
No,
Hey,
because
I
the
got a
animal can't make
horse.
the
I
decision
know
yet.
he's got about 6 weeks. He's got 6 weeks. No, they put him on kill him.
Well, that's to me, that's I don't know. I just I'm an animal advocate. I mean, I don't. I mean, I've had a gun and I've had a deer in my sight, and I saw the eyelashes, and it's like I can't shoot this thing. There's no way. I mean, aim a little high, you get yelled at for you messed up hunting for everybody else today. You scared everything away. It's like, oh, good. I'm glad. You know.
Yeah, you'd have been better off not shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking guns jammed. Damn it.
But that's the one thing I think I think we don't understand. Humanity gets all wrong. One of the things I was going to say to you is like what we get all wrong is that we feel like we're advancing for people's sake. It's like no, we live in an ecosystem, and you've
Right.
destroyed animals, destroyed ecosystems, and you think that's okay? I don't agree. I mean, people bitch about the Indians. The Indians had their act together. They knew how to work together with the environment. They killed only what they needed to eat, but they didn't do it for trophy hunting or stuff like that, you know? So I
Right.
think that, and even the way that we have raped the soil for crops, it's like, no, there's a reason why Indians went from place to place around their area to plant is because you had to let that area get.
Literally, the good food they throw away at every supermarket in the trash can would probably feed most countries.
Well, I heard something very, very interesting, and I mean, anybody who's a conspiracy theorist, something to think about. It's like they're creating seedless vegetables and fruits. Okay, so that means that when you eat these things, you can't take the seeds and plant them yourself. You're now relying on somebody else to buy your fruits and
Right.
vegetables from, and it's like
Right.
that sucks. That really does.
Right.
Can't and in some states you can't collect your own rainwater because that's not yours. It fell on my house and fell on my rain barrel. I'm gonna use the shit. It's like, but
Well, a tidbit that I didn't read, but and I already knew this because I reside in Arizona. But in Arizona, it's illegal to go cut down or remove a cactus, even if it's in your own yard.
wow,
It's a protected plant. I'm
wow,
talking about like a regular any type
yeah,
of cactus,
yeah.
thorns, whatever. Can't no can do.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah. So anyway, we have time for one more. Hit me. And
Okay.
by the way, Two Average Joes is sponsored by Western States Restaurant Consulting, where your vision is our success.
There you go. What are the daily rituals you swear by and think everyone else should explore too? What do you do every day that you think everybody else should at least take a look at?
I have no great impact like that. I have my rituals, but it's probably nothing any different than anybody else. You know, you get up, you have your cup of coffee. Last couple of months, I've been drinking the mushroom coffee, and you know, I look at the news. I get my notes together. I'm a big note keeper. I have notes all over my desk. That's how I get things done. My phone, but nothing. I don't like do anything in particular that I think is so beneficial or outrageous to anybody else. But I bet you do.
Dude, I mean, it's like I take nothing but cold showers. I take a cold shower every day. It's like that helps. I intermittent fast. I started Tai Chi about a week and a half ago, and I think that's going to be a new part of my routine because I have to have operations on my shoulders, but they won't do it for another 5 years because of the longevity. It will last. It's supposed to only last.
Right.
He thinks I'm going to live a long time because of the way I take care of my insides. So I have
Now
to
the
wait.
Tai Chi, do you You have to mix that with hot water, or can you have it?
Well, you can drink it cold, but sometimes it can be a little tough on the exterior. But that's
Oh, not good.
I have a okay time with Tai Chi because I did martial arts when I was younger. And it's just a kata. It's a kind of form, but it's about balance. And that's what I needed, something for strength in my upper body without.
So it currently does not put strain on your shoulder.
No, it's tough because you're using muscles in your. I mean, I can feel my upper body starting to get in good shape. And I'm also one thing that I also advise everybody, even at a young age, you need to stretch every day. I've got an app on my phone that says, "Hey, you got." Give me 15 minutes of stretching, and I have a routine set up. I go and I sit down and I do stretching for. I can touch, grab the backs of my toes now, my feet, straight out. You just need to make sure you keep flexible because I'm a lot older than most people that would listen to this, and it's like I really got to be careful. So I think the habits that I've done have helped me, and I mean, it's like one thing I told Sue is funny. I'm supposed to go for my wellness exam because I just turned over 65. And so I go to this wellness exam that's all paid for and to find out what's going on in your body. And I told Sue, I said, before I go do that exam, I'm going to do a 36-hour intermittent fast. My blood sugar is going to be in the toilet. It's going to be so low. They're going to go, "You're amazing. I can't believe that." So I just understand how to manipulate that, how to get a low blood pressure. So these things that I just think that are going to create longevity for me. I mean, sometimes I feel my age because I'm tired, but
I was selling myself short. Now that I think about it, I do have a daily ritual I do to stay in shape. I have to bend over to put my socks on.
ooh, good one.
And I have 2 feet, by the way.
Hey, that's quite a feat that you're doing there.
Don't forget to tip the cocktail waitresses.
That's right. We're here all
buddy.
week, folks.
Well, sign us off, pal.
Okay.
As always.
Want to thank you guys for coming to visit with us, and we'll try to have some more interesting questions and facts that are strange but true for you next time. So until then, be good humans.
And by the way, I'm going to jump in. Join us.
Please
Joe's
do.
friends, shoot us a message. Have you on the show. We'll ask you some questions. We'll have a lot of laughs.
And I've got a couple
us.
of people that have said, "I'd like to be a guest on your show." So we've got some people coming up, some surprise guests. So
come on
you
board.
never know what's going to happen. Love everybody. Be good people. Have a good day. Now.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Take care, buddy.